Josh will be back on the podium. He lives on the podium.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we'll open it up now for questions for Sully. And we'll start with Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun. Coach, I'm just curious about the uniqueness of this facing an SEC team that you really haven't played all season, and the players have talked about watching them, but what goes into the scout and so forth, and facing a team that, obviously is in your conference, but this is the first time you're facing them. Yeah,
I mean, obviously there's some similarities, but we haven't played them, obviously, in a year since last year. But, the scouting report questions that have been asked, we really haven't done a whole lot yet. I mean, literally in the hotel, you've got your bracket, you have, TCU, you have Oral Roberts, you have Virginia, and then over here, literally, you have LSU from last year's notes and 3 empty folders because we didn't know who we were going to play and waste time or energy on something that might not happen. So we'll get together as a staff after we practice today and start going over all the things that we need to go over. But at the end of the day, we are who we are, and we're going to focus on what we need to do from our side to be successful. Sure, there's going to be some things that we're going to have to, prepare for, but we'll spend some time later on today with them.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Coach, just Nick Delatorre, Gators Online. You mentioned previous to the tournament starting that you've had a different kind of appreciation for it. Just what has this journey with this team been like for you this season, 60-something games in, and then to still be one of the last 2 teams playing baseball right now?
Well, really, it's really not the time to really think about it. It's hard to sit back and reflect right now. We've got an opportunity to win a national championship, and that's really my focus right now and the staff right now. It's like to put our players in position to be as successful as they can be. If I rambled on and on about how I felt about it at this point, I wouldn't be giving you the right answer. You ask me this question a week from now or 2 weeks from now, I'll probably be giving you a better answer and reflect back. But right now, I think we're all focused on what's ahead of us the next couple of days, and hopefully things go the way we want them to.
Get back over here.
Hi, Coach. Jacques Doucet, WAFB in Baton Rouge. In 2017, you won both games, won the national championship, obviously. But do you remember kind of purple and gold taking over the stands in terms of the crowd? And are there some aspects of this that will feel like a road game, do you think?
No, I do remember, of course. I mean, I remember, what it was like. I think that's one of the things that I will touch on probably tomorrow at some point. The other thing that we have, that could be helpful is Michael Rivera, who's our catcher on that team. He's now back getting his degree, and he's our first base coach, and he lived it. So, the bottom line is there's not one person in the stands that's going to make one pitch or have one at bat. It comes down to us executing. It comes down to LSU executing. We played in some really tough environments in this league, and our guys should be used to it by this point. And I would hope that, the play of the game is what's important. And like I said, there's not one person in the stands that's going to make a pitch or have an at bat. So we just got to play the game.
Okay, Michael.
Michael Cobble, WBRZ in Baton Rouge. When I was hearing Josh's answer about resiliency, it really, made me think that these 2 teams are a lot more similar than they are different, I guess. What are your initial thoughts of LSU?
Yeah, I think initially they were identified by their offense, and rightfully so. They got some star power in their lineup. I think our team was the same way. Obviously, they had Skeens, who has had arguably the best season in the history of college baseball. But yet we've got Sproat, who came back to school, and we have, Hurston, of course, and Jack. So I think the biggest similarity that I see just from the outside looking in is the improvement with their bullpen over the course of the year, and I think the same could be said about us as well.
Okay, next question. Okay.
Jacob Runner, 24/7 Sports. Just with a lineup like theirs that is so potent, just what goes into beating a team like that?
Honestly, it comes down to execution. I mean, you could probably ask them the same. I mean, a lot of it comes down to how the wind's blowing. A leadoff walk to start the 6th could change the whole complexion of the game. How you play defense. One error at the wrong time can change the whole complexion of the game. I think we can get caught up in scouting reports and that type of thing, but Brandon still has to pitch off his strengths regardless. Now, of course, you have a plan, but the plan in the big picture of things in a short series like this is execution. And how many times can you get the leadoff hitter out over the course of the 9 innings to stay out of an inning where you give up 2 or 3 runs? So, I don't get. I'm more concerned about what we do well and try to do it to the best of our ability rather than what the other team does well. Of course, there's going to be some aspects you have to coach them up on, but if your team plays really well, you got a really good chance to win. If your team doesn't, then you got a really good chance not to win. So, and I think getting them in the right frame of mind, going back to the original question about the crowd and all that stuff, I think that's going to be important for our guys to understand that and accept that and understand it. It's going to be a really good atmosphere, and we could use it to our advantage or not use it to our advantage. And the 17 team figured out a way to use it to their advantage. So that's about it.
Clinton?
Clinton Yates, ESPN. Kevin, do you mind telling me a little bit about what you think about Trey Morgan, not just from that particular play last night, but in general from a versatility and a competitiveness standpoint for LSU?
Yeah, I think I've said enough of Trey. I'm ready for Trey to move on to the next level. When they move into the outfield, I was always like, this guy is probably by far the best defensive first baseman in our league. But that kind of just shows the versatility that he has. That was an incredible play last night. It's a play that we work on as well, but it's a gamble, right? Because if they don't bunt, you leave first base unoccupied, and first can steal. And if he doesn't, bunt, then you put your first baseman in a really tough position. But they gambled. They executed perfectly. He's competitive at the plate. He hates to strike out. I know that. He's up there to swing the bat. He's an emotional player, and I think the other players feed off of it. He's a really good baseball player. And like I said, he's got a couple more games, and he's moving on next level. They got to figure out the next first baseman next year. And that's their problem, not mine.
Leah?
Leah Van, Baton Rouge Advocate. I was just wondering if you could speak to just the talent across these two teams in this matchup, multiple first and second round picks for this year and next year's draft. I mean, what does that say about the game itself and college baseball?
I think you could say that across the board. This isn't just a Florida LSU thing. I think you just look at the level of talent throughout all of college baseball. I mean, there's games you play on a Tuesday night, and all of a sudden you see some freshman run out there on the mound in a midweek game, and you're going, man, I like to see what this guy looks like in 3 years. I mean, it's across the board. So I think the college game is in as good a shape as it's ever been. I think it's evolved into it's a real developmental piece to move to the next level, and it's increasingly gotten better and better from that standpoint. But I think college baseball it's never been better from a talent standpoint, honestly.
Okay.
Jacob Brenner, 24/7 Sports. The days off that you guys have been able to have, how critical is that, just especially for your bullpen, to be able to keep those guys rested and coming into this difficult series?
Yeah, I think from a bullpen standpoint, it's been helpful. But honestly, from my standpoint, it puts me a little bit on edge, honestly, because what you don't want your players to do with off days is lose their edge. And there have been plenty of teams that played on that Thursday game and went on to win this last series. So it's really our responsibility is to keep our players on edge, and that's going to be a huge message. The days off are fine, but you have to be able to turn the switch back on, because LSU is now coming off an incredible win last night, an emotional win that will help them, be at the highest level, as far as feeling good about themselves going into Saturday's game, right? And we've sat back and watched. So, yes, the days off have been good from a bullpen standpoint, but you also got to guard against losing that edge, and that falls on us to make sure our guys are ready to play.
Okay, Michael?
I'm just curious your thoughts on your team's offense, specifically as it relates to running the ball out of here under these conditions.
Well, it's a give and take, really. I mean, usually look at the weather report days in advance and want to know if it's going to rain or not, but the wind has played a huge factor, especially on Wednesday we played TCU. I could sense even in their dugout, it was suffocating. It's like every ball was hitting the air was an out. And at this stage of the game, it's nice to hit home runs. And it's a very interesting question because when you put your team together to win the SEC, it's built on power pitching and power hitting. And in order to win the SEC, that gives you an opportunity to host regionals and super regionals and puts you in a position to get here. Now you get out here, and it's like it's a totally different game. So in the back of your mind, so when we've come out here and we haven't been as successful as we had hoped, you know, you have to have the ability to manufacture runs in different ways. How you score runs the majority of the year with a 3-run homer and that type of thing in our league, you have to prepare yourself for this too. And I think that's the real intriguing thing about playing out here.
We have time for one more question, and give it to Kevin.
I guess on, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville Sun, I guess kind of piggybacking off that, the top of the lineup, Cade, I mean, how much are you hoping maybe that hit gets him going a little bit, and the importance of, maybe 1 through 3 to kind of get things started?
Yeah, I mean, of course. But at the end of the day, we're getting picked up by a bunch of other guys too. I mean, I think that's what good offenses do. Of course, your star players, they perform over the course of the year for the majority part of the time. But there are going to come times where other guys have to step up, and it's a collective group. You know, when I mean that, I mean it by just not offensively, but like Ryan Slater coming in and getting 5 outs on Wednesday was huge, so we didn't have to go to Cade Fisher as early as we wanted to. Michael Robertson, when Shellnut and Ty Evans hit in the 7th, and their lineup, their spot lineup's probably not going to come back up. You can see Michael Robertson getting ready. You can see Richie getting ready. The guys know their roles. Yeah, and when Michael makes that catch, I mean, what an awesome story because he played most of the year, but here he is getting loose in the dugout, knowing he's going to go out to center field because we had a 1-run lead. So, yeah, it's a collective group, but people have to pick each other up. I think sometimes we focus, okay, well, Cade's this for his last 20 at-bats, or, Jack is this, but, we still got, Luke Heyman who picks him up, or Shellnut who's had big bats. Colby Halter's had big at-bats. So, yeah, I mean, I would hope that they'd have the best games they possibly can over this next weekend. But at the same time, we've got 9 guys in the lineup that can contribute.
Thank you, Kevin. We're going to bring in Jay here, and y'all can have an arm wrestling contest for the. We'll take some photos with the trophy here. Jay, how are you doing? Sleep well? Yes. Can we get you both back up on the desk back in the trophies?
I feel like I'm out of way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sit down. We can get the players in here. And a reminder that Hammond Communications posts a recording of this conference at the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. And if you're just joining us, please remember to give us your name and your affiliation. When you ask questions, we'll get a hand mic to you, and you'll tell us who you're directing the Question 2. But we'll wait for the players here.
I don't know if they're here yet. Honestly.
Really? We lollygagged as much as we could.
Yeah. Dylan wanted to lift, so.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. Jay, give us an overview first, and then we may have to do your portion first.
Yeah, obviously excited to be here as a college baseball coach. This is where you want to be at this time of year. Very proud of the team, especially coming through the losers bracket after a tough loss on Monday night to, again, one of the best teams that I've seen in recent time in Wake Forest, particularly on the pitching side of things. Really good week that we put together to get back to this point, and now it's about moving forward. One of the players to feel good about what they accomplished last night, and something we've talked about all year is mastering moving forward, moving on to the next step, whether that's through success or adversity. They've shown a lot of maturity in doing that throughout the year, and I expect us to do that moving into tomorrow night.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start. Right here, Coach.
Cookie Riley with The Advertiser. How much is your experience of just being here at this level at the College World Series final and the national championship on the line? How much does that help you prepare this team?
Yeah, I think there's benefit to it. It's just like, with the players, something I tell them all the time, the best coach they're ever going to have in their life is playing time. And when you get here and get to experience, playing, 8 games in one World Series back in 2016, that definitely helps. You know what to expect. You know where the pitfalls are, things that I try to take a notebook with me everywhere when I'm doing everything. And being in Omaha, you certainly want to do that. And it's been helpful, and reflected a little bit on that last night. And then, more so of how do you transition from the bracket, to the championship series. And we had a good plan for that coming in, and excited to get into that phase of it now.
Okay, Leah.
Leah Van, The Advocate. Looking at the talent across this matchup alone and the matchup we saw last night, multiple first and second round draft picks, what do you think has enabled college baseball to feature this kind of talent over the years?
Yeah, I think the development platforms, that places like LSU have that can feed the player's dream of becoming a major league player. When you look at, nutrition, strength and conditioning, mental coaches, some of the best coaches in baseball, not college baseball, in baseball, are a part of these programs that have been playing in the College World Series. So it's a real opportunity, for the players to accelerate, achieving their dream of becoming a major league player someday and get to play in an environment like this, which is second to none. You won't experience anything like this unless you're one of the very few that get to play in a Major League World Series.
Glenn? Oh, Jock.
TV. Coach, can you speak to what a great player and star Trey Morgan is, the electricity he brings offensively, defensively? All the kids are screaming his name for autographs wherever he walks here. What's it like to just observe all that?
Yeah, if I gave you a full answer, we might be here all day. I think, as I've said before throughout the year, and rightfully so, he is one of the best competitors that I've ever coached. And just his will to win, his will to succeed, come through for our team when we need him the most is really next level. And I think it starts there. Great parents, was raised incredibly well. I think the maturation process, if you will, that I've seen is he's become a leader on our team. And, getting to spend, these 2 years with him, it's been really fun to see that evolution and hear him speak here in Omaha about his teammates and what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And in terms of the play, nobody embodies that better than Trey. And on top of that, he's a phenomenal baseball player. Very rarely do you put that competitive character with the hand-eye coordination, the two-strike hitting ability, the defensive versatility, all of those things. And, shortly after we're done, a professional team is going to be very happy to have Trey Morgan.
Glenn.
Glenn Wesco, 247. Coach O'Sullivan was just talking about how different it is to set up a team for an SEC schedule, and then when you get out here, it's a little bit different in terms of how you manufacture runs and stuff. Can you just talk about that element in terms of how you guys have maybe had to shift the way you play offense in this tournament?
Yeah, I think I have a good perspective about that. Coming from the West and the Pac-12, I mean, it's bigger fields. That's a different style of play. Most of the parks in the SEC are launching pads, for lack of a better word. This is not here. And, when we talk about building offense early on, very early on in the fall, we want to be able to win any type of game. Pitchers duel like last night, one-run game, slugfest, winds blowing out. Small park, big field, doesn't matter. And to have a skill set to be able to do that, and there's some hallmarks in that skill set that travel, if you will, without sounding too football coachish, that things that we've done well all year long have helped us score some runs here. But there's a different nature to it, especially in the games that we've played with the wind blowing straight in, the size of the field, the quality of the pitching. And again, I think it's unique and probably appropriate that, our last three opponents, in my opinion, on this year's schedule will be three of the best pitching staffs in college baseball.
Ooh. We'll go here with Jason there. Yeah.
Jason Patterson, Island CWS. Coach, without tipping your hand too much or giving away state secrets, what's in the notebook? What have you discovered from 16? What'd you learn from your side of the bracket this time that you feel like puts you in a position to be successful?
Yeah, I think, having a plan for everything just coming into the tournament. And, whether you win game one, lose game one, win the first two, lose one of the first two, and you can't get too far down the road. And that's probably the thing that helped us the most, I would say, over the last few days. I think if you lose your plan, this is over quickly. And I think that's probably the thing I'm the most proud of the last couple of days. I thought we were not on it in the first inning of Wednesday's game. And, we brought it up to the team. Like, we had this conversation a month ago, we have to stay right here, right now, and in character. And, when you have old players that have had success, that have a good blueprint in their eyes of how to be successful and have had success with it, you can kind of get them back on track. And then they're good enough to go execute it. That's the most important part of it. And then staying right there right now. And, last night was special. That was a special game for all of the country to watch. And it was a big win for our program. And I wanted our players to feel that, because if you don't, you lose sight of why you're doing this. And then there becomes an expiration date on that, and then master the art of moving forward. And when you're going to play 7 or 8 games here like we are, you have to be able to do that.
Okay, we'll go with Mike here.
Coach Mike Patterson, Omaha World Herald. Just talk about the two different dynamics. LSU, perhaps the team with the momentum heading into the final, compared to Florida, the team that's probably a little more well-rested.
Yeah, I say this all the time. And baseball is very unique. I think it's different than basketball and football. I think talent wins out in basketball and football more often. In baseball, it's not always the team with the best players. It's the team that plays the best that day. And as hard as it may seem to get anybody's head around, it's about tomorrow. Tomorrow is the only thing that matters tomorrow. And there's advantages to both. Maybe you talk about rhythm, you talk about routine, you talk about confidence. Well, both teams are going to play with a ton of confidence, as they should, with the rosters. And I think it's awesome, when you look at Selection Day, and, I'm a very stay-in-the-moment type guy, which my Baton Rouge media fans will tell you. But you look at the bracket, and you look who's on the other side, and it's like, this is not a surprise to me that who we're playing.
We'll go with Brian here. We're going to run out of time, guys.
Brian McGee, ESPN. Jay, back in February, you and I talked about the challenge of transitioning this new age of transfers coming in. Doesn't seem to have been a problem. Certainly wasn't last night. What's the secret sauce for taking guys from other programs and plugging them in with guys that have been here, since they got out of high school?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's fit. Yeah, we're not for everybody. You know what I mean? Florida's probably not for everybody either. I think building team, you have to be really intentional about building team. And we have a great freshman class as well. There's guys that haven't seen a lot of time here that are the future stars of our program. You know, when I think about Brady Neal, who's been hurt, Paxton Kling, Jared Jones, I mean, they've all contributed to this team's success and will be the headliners of next year's group. We got here in large part because of Gavin Guidry and Griffin Herring. I mean, I had a meeting with those guys in January and February, like, you're going to have to spearhead this thing going forward. The reality of it, when you look at the SEC West and the SEC East, you cannot win without age, experience, and all those types of things. I mean, I think I know who the three players were up here for Florida. Those are grown men. I mean, this is not a little boys league, and you have to have some age and experience underneath you.
Okay, let's go, Kevin, here.
Yeah, Kevin Brockway, Gainesville's son. Coach, having to play the 4 games in 4 days, obviously the pitching was really, worked pretty hard. I'm curious about how you feel, how welcome is the day off, first of all, and then how you feel about your pitching setting up, given the number of arms you had to use to get through this.
Yeah, I'm way okay with having a day off today. Yeah, that's going to work out well for us. I have faith in a lot of guys, and we have 12 on the roster, on the active roster for this thing, and they've all pitched in games that we've won this year and games that we've had success. And I think there's a pathway for them, if they execute, to be successful. And it really doesn't matter what I think or feel about it. We are where we are. You know, we earned our way here the way that we did, and so now we have to go with how we're set up.
Okay, we'll go with, this is going to be our last question for Jay.
Can I have 2 questions?
Well, you got the mic.
Jay, first question is Hayden Travinsky available to play for the rest of this series? And the second question is just a scouting report on Wyatt Langford.
Yeah, in terms of Hayden, he was nursing a small injury, and it became a little bit bigger injury, earlier in the tournament. Massive gratitude for him giving it a go on Monday. He did the best he could with where he was at, and this time of year, that's the way it has to be. He was not available to play on Tuesday. Might have been available to pinch hit on Wednesday. We had some progress yesterday, but we got a little ways to go to know where we're going to stand with what he will be or won't be available for going into the weekend. Wyatt Langford, great player. I mean, I don't know how much else to say it. I mean, somebody's going to pay him a lot of money, as they should. And I think, like Dylan, like Paul, and a couple other guys on their roster, it'll be a short arc in terms of minor league baseball to the big leagues. He's a very well-built player.
Jay, you can stay up here if you want to listen to what the players say again. Or I can excuse you.
They're a lot more interesting than I am, so
well,
stay with them.
It's not according to these guys.
Get a good lift in?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, let's open it up for players, and I see Michael's hands first. So.
This is for all 3 of you, if you don't mind. We can start with Cade. Obviously, Coach has you guys here for a reason, but he's talked about the team, that you guys have assembled, and putting mental at the front of all that stuff. But I think each of you represent different parts of this team, whether it be veteran talent, whatever, kind of thing. Just from a player's perspective, what does it mean to have all those components gelling the way it has?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's necessary. I don't think you'll find another team in the country that has more fun playing with each other than we do. That's our favorite thing to do, is just play baseball and, joke around, have fun with each other. But yeah, like you said, there is different components of leadership on this team, whether it be like a glue guy, talent, et cetera, lead by example. And I think that's what makes us so special. It's not like it's one person leading the way. It's a group, like a collective of us.
Dylan?
Yeah, I think it's very important for to have a good team. Really, just have the glue guys like this guy right here, and a leader like him who has one of the best mental approaches I've ever seen. So, I think it's very important. Just the younger guys on board too, and just carries the the tradition and the approach on every single year. So I think it's good.
Trey?
Yeah, I think the most important trait we have as a team is the confidence that we have in each other. We believe that every guy in that dugout, every guy on the field is going to get the job done whenever their name's called upon. And it's just a great feeling when you're in the game and you know that you have all those dudes in the dugout behind your back,
Okay, next question. Okay. Oh, who got in back here? Howard, okay.
Warden, KLBM Omaha, congratulations to LSU. I asked this question to the student athletes from Florida, so I'll ask it for Trey, Dylan, and Cade. As a fan of baseball, what do you admire and like about Florida?
Trey, you start.
Dylan's style, I don't really have.
I have a lot of respect for them. I'm from Florida, so it's like I know a bunch of those guys on the team and play with them, and I have a lot of respect for them. They got great starting pitchers, a great bullpen, great lineup, no holes in their lineup. So we got to be ready. We got to be ready to go. It's not going to be a cakewalk. We got to be mentally prepared and ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say one thing I admire about them is the confidence they play with. It's kind of similar to us, and they're a gritty bunch, and they all play with a chip on their shoulder. So that's one thing that I really respect from their team.
Okay, right here.
Michael Farr with Bird Sports Network. Trey, kind of a two-part question for you. Could you talk about the fan base behind you guys for last night, and what's it like to have another SEC team face you in the championship?
Yeah, we have the best fans in the country, and that showed last night. It was awesome celebrating with our guys on the field, and then we turn and we look at the fans, and they're all on the rail, standing up, cheering, chanting LSU. If that didn't give you goosebumps, then I don't know what else would. But, that feeling was amazing. And what was the second question? I'm sorry.
What's it like to see another SEC opponent in the championship?
Oh, yeah. That just shows that's why we're here. That's why we came to play for the SEC. We believe it's the best conference in baseball. And, the history shows what that trophy, where that trophy's gone multiple times. So, yeah.
We'll go with Koki here.
Dylan, is it easier for you guys to prepare for a matchup like this when you're facing a team that's pretty similar to you guys, the big names, big guys in the order, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's easier, honestly. We have the same approach every team. Everybody's nameless and faceless to us. We don't change based on the opponent. We just stick to our plans and our approaches, and if we do what we're supposed to do and trust in our preparation every single day, good things will happen.
Glenn.
Glenn West, Go 247. This will be for Dylan and Cade. Do you guys think that the last three nights, just being able to play in those high intensity, high emotional situations, you think that's an advantage for you guys going into this series in terms of just riding that momentum into these next couple days?
Yeah, I think we do well with games being played back to back to back. It keeps the momentum going for sure. It just keeps the gas on the pedal to the metal, the little saying. But we just keep going, really. Keep the momentum going, keep it going for this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say when you play in these high intensity environments, you're battle tested, and throughout the course of a season, we've played in different types of games, whether it be one-on-one games, 2, 3, et cetera, blowouts. So, we kind of know every situation, know how to react to every situation. Nothing's going to catch us off guard. So I think that's one thing that's good for us. We just got to play our game.
Okay. Let's go with Clinton over here.
Clinton Yates, ESPN. Trey, how much, excuse me, there's the crowd in the stands, but how much did you hear from folks back home after last night in terms of the reaction you got from people you've known, your whole life after not just the play, but the quality of that win?
Yeah, it was awesome. As soon as I checked my phone, seeing all the text messages, all the mentions on Twitter, Instagram, and just people really that I haven't talked to in a while, just saying how proud they are of me and this team and the history that we have the chance to make. It was awesome.
Okay, go Wilson back here.
Will Spencer from the Advocate for Cade. How does being here for 5 years and all the things that you've gone through shape the way you've thought about like the week that you've been here, like trying to maybe pick up like the name card and all those sorts of things? How has that maybe shaped the way you've gone about being here?
I mean, it just goes to show you that no matter what's going on, just keep putting your head down and keep working, and good things will eventually come your way. Had some tough breaks through prior postseasons, but wouldn't change anything for the world. I think we were all in Knoxville, Tennessee, at that super regional, and Florida State, etc. But yeah, it made us tougher as a team. It made us better for it. It might have sucked in the moment, but it paid off. And we're here and playing for a national championship, so wouldn't change it any other way. Do it 10 times over.
Okay, Lee, you had your hand up.
Dylan, I know you had some experience playing with Wyatt Langford last summer. Just wondering if you could speak to like his style of play and what it was like playing with him.
Yeah, he's a great kid, great player too. I have all the respect for him. Very special talent. I think he's gonna be a big leader for a very long time. Some of the best raw back to ball skills and power I've ever seen. It can really track the ball down in the outfield. So I really like his game, and gonna hopefully just play alongside of him one day. So it'll be good.
Okay, Michael.
I'd like all three players to answer this if you could. Coach talked about transitioning from the bracket style of play to the championship series. I'm wondering what goes into that. And then he's also shared a couple of stories like the whiteboard, planning out the pitching. It seems the simpler the message, the more effective it is. Is that accurate?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with your last statement for sure. When he was listing out the pitching, and you're seeing all these names on the board, and you're seeing Skeens' name on Thursday. The plan seems pretty simple. Get the ball to Paul. That was our goal, to get Paul to Thursday, and have Thatch come in behind him. But yeah, the simpler the message usually is, the better. At this point in the year, you don't need to overcomplicate things. Like, we are who we are, and we have a great group, and we're very competitive, and we love playing baseball. So I mean, yeah, no need to overcomplicate things. Keep it simple.
Dylan?
Yeah, it's funny. Just when we write it all down on the board, it seems so simple. Yeah, it's. I mean, that's something that I've learned a lot this year, is learning how to keep things simple and just take it one pitch at a time. So. Yeah, that's just kind of our mindset going in, this past couple of games. Just win that first one and give the ball over to Paul, and that's what we did. And that was his game, and Tommy was able to hit the homer for us. It was awesome.
Troy.
I'd say going into the championship series, our mindset doesn't change. It's always been like we're playing a one-game playoff. We're gonna win one pitch at a time, and yeah, we know what's on the line. Like I said in an earlier interview, when our backs are against the wall, we know it's on the line. But the play never changes. It's about who shows up that day.
Okay, back here.
Miguel Paredes Reyes, LSU Tiger TV. Trey, it seems like your dad has gotten more media attention than you have so far in the tournament. Can you kind of speak on your family's support and how that's contributed to your success?
Yeah, I mean, they're my biggest supporters, and my dad's very outgoing. I kind of didn't get that trait as much as he has it, but I mean, that just shows how much confidence and faith that they have in me. And I mean, without my parents and my family, this would all be a dream, From growing up in New Orleans, this really doesn't seem real, And I'm glad that I'm here to show kids growing up in New Orleans that this is a reality, like this could happen, and it's all a credit to them.
Okay, we had Jacques over here.
Jacques Doucet, WAP-TV in Baton Rouge. To Dylan and Trey, you guys came in together, and it's kind of been Dylan and Trey, Trey and Dylan through these 3 years. Can you speak to your friendship and how far you've come since that super regional at Tennessee, your first year? How much have you guys matured to be in this spot?
Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, we've both grown tremendously. I mean, it's because of this guy right here, really, I mean, we wouldn't be the people we are today or players without him. And, it's just, we now know what it takes to get there, and, what it takes to lose those games. And, it just makes us better. And now we're here, we're ready to go. And, we got 2 games to win. So, give our best shot.
Trey.
Yeah, I mean, these past 3 years playing with this guy, he's made me such a better player. He gave me a credit about my mental game earlier in this interview, and without him, it would be way worse. He showed me how to control my emotions, how to not get too high or not get too low, so I appreciate him for it, and we're the best of friends.
Okay, one last question. We'll go to Leah here.
Cade, just talking to players throughout the season, it seems like you kind of took all the transfers under your wing, and you and Gavin Dugas were kind of helping them buy into this team and really feel like a part of this team. What went into that?
I mean, yeah, you look around the room and, you see the talent. I mean, you got two guys up here that are going to play in the big leagues for 15 plus years if they choose to. But we knew we were going to have a great team, but, it's not about how good your team is. It's about your chemistry. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day is how much you're going to, how much you love each other, how much you're going to want to play for each other. It's a team game. You can't just rely on one person. So we knew that going in, and just hanging out in the fall, doing team building stuff with Coach Jay and a bunch of our mental coaches and stuff like that, and just trying to be brothers. And I think that's what it comes down to. And that's one thing that we pride ourselves on. Like, we're a group of brothers.
Guys, thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All weekend.
Yes, sir.
Weather's changing.
I hear it.
Cool now. Nah. It's going to be fine. I know you want that.
Yeah.